Hello traders, good day, how are you doing? This is Footy Trader from myfootballtrading.com and this is another match odds analysis video for the upcoming weekend. As you know, I mean everyone who was following me, you know that recently this approach wasn't giving me a good time. But we continue today. We really need to have a watch list prepared. We need to have a list of games that we'll be trading in play. Why? Because of the odds that we'll disagree with. In addition, however, during the weekend, my plan is to try and find more opportunities for the Homer HT approach. If you want to know what Homer HT is, you can just check my previous video and see all the details. I've tried it yesterday in Europa League game between Rennes and AC Milan. Worked pretty well. So yeah, I'll definitely give it a try if there are entries that meet the criteria, right? The games that meet criteria. But the main purpose, obviously, for this video is to have a look at the odds, and I'm more than happy that we are doing this together. As we go, you know, feel free to grab a piece of paper or an Excel spreadsheet and note down the games that you feel are worth trading because of the odds that you might disagree with, and it's fine if your list will be completely different than mine. It is obviously okay. We all have different views, and yeah, you can have the teams put into, you know, different categories than me. But anyway, without further ado, let's have a look at the Premier League, and and it's match day 26. As per my spreadsheet, we have a number of colors and we want to see the odds. Yeah. Okay, starting with Aston Villa against Nottingham. Simple stuff here, nothing unusual. Aston Villa 156, Nottingham 564. Not something that I would argue with, so not adding this one to the watch list. Brighton against Everton. Yeah, similar situation, but you can see that Aston Villa number 2, Nottingham number 6, and we have number 3 against number 5 here. So basically, we are expecting higher odds for Brighton, and that is the case. 185, 405. Yep, which is okay. Crystal Palace against Burnley. Now here we reach teams that are not performing that well, but we still have Crystal Palace being 201 favorites against 391 for Burnley. That makes perfect sense. Manchester United against Fulham. Here we can compare that very quickly to Brighton Everton. So Brighton was number 4. I have Manchester United as a better team than Brighton at the moment, so I would expect the odds to be lower than 185 for Manchester United against Fulham. Fulham I have equal to Everton at the moment. And that really is the case. We have 159 for Manchester United and 528 for Fulham. Again, nothing really happening here. Yeah, moving on. Will we find anything? Because yeah, we have this round of Premier League, we have just very strong favorites, or significantly strong. Will be hard to find something. Burnley against Manchester City, sorry, Bournemouth against Manchester City is 6.96, and we have 1.42 for Manchester City. It will be interesting to compare it with Arsenal against Newcastle. Arsenal at home. Against Newcastle. Yeah, so that's a no. Arsenal against Newcastle, we have 1.4 for Arsenal and 7.34. This I think is an exaggeration, despite the fact that I appreciate Arsenal playing at home. Yesterday they faced FC Porto, which they lost that game 1-0 in the Champions League. There was a last-minute goal. Now, basically, the market is saying that Manchester City facing Bournemouth away is pretty much the same thing that Arsenal facing Newcastle. Yeah, you can see Manchester City 70%, 70.4% chance of winning. Arsenal 71, so not big of a difference. And there is one thing that has to be checked, and that is the Newcastle's form away, which is pretty poor, or it was, and they defeated Aston Villa 1-3 in the last game, and then Nottingham 2-3. So they started winning away. Before that, they just had one win in 10 games, which was pretty poor. Arsenal at home, only one defeat, but they lost to West Ham, 0-2. Other than that, they are winning everything. So, looking at the team news, Isak, Willock are doubtful. Callum Wilson, Matt Targett, Nick Pope, Joelinton, Anderson, all out. For Arsenal, only Zinchenko is out, and Gabriel Jesus is doubtful. It will be interesting to see. I may give it a go, as you know, 1-4 is maybe a little bit too low. But this is something that potentially should be, or better, we can play it even more safely and just let it run in play. And then if Arsenal goes 1-0 up and the game is pretty open, it's not that they are, all over Newcastle, we can lay there then. And if the chance, because the odds will be like 1-2 probably, or less. So yeah, adding this one to the watch list, and we'll see how it would be best to trade this in play. In general, I think 1-4 is too short for Arsenal. I mean, Newcastle is not that poor. Okay, moving on. Chelsea against Tottenham. This one is postponed. This was supposed to be played today, but there's EFL Cup and Chelsea is facing Liverpool. So this is postponed, and also Liverpool against Luton. Actually, it was a game that was played yesterday, so we can add the odds here very quickly. Okay, 1.27 and 12 for Luton. That was a no. Liverpool won 4-1. Okay, and the last one is Wolves against Sheffield United. We have two games more. Wolves against Sheffield United 1.47 against a very poor Sheffield 6.68, which is fine. And then West Ham against Brentford West Ham is 2.5. It is interesting, yeah, because it's 2.5 for West Ham, 2.7 for Brentford. I would expect West Ham to be shorter, really. But the truth is, yeah, that they were not playing that well recently. Yeah, if we look at what was happening recently, West Ham is without a win in 6 Premier League games, really. And recently they drew 3. And recently they lost 3. They lost to Manchester United 3-0. They lost to Arsenal 6-0. And then they lost to Nottingham 2-0. So pretty poor performance. Brentford, on the other hand, they are not doing that well, but they faced Manchester City twice recently. They lost 3-1 and they lost 1-0. They lost to Liverpool 4-1. They defeated Wolves 2-0. But then also lost with Tottenham 3-2. In the first game, by the way, between West Ham and Tottenham, it was played in November. It was a close call. Brentford won at home 3-2, but they were really... they were 2-1 down, and then they won 3-2. Yeah, so... but definitely something to check, right? It should be an interesting game. There may be goals. West Ham at home probably should be a little bit lower. Let me see. Brentford away, if we take their away games into account, they are 15th out of 20. Only 3 wins in 12, so not that good. West Ham at home is 10th, yeah. 18 goals scored, 17 goals conceded. I think West Ham should be shorter than 2.5. Okay. Right, so that's Premier League. Let's move on to La Liga and let's see what you guys will think about the games and the odds. We also have one game that is postponed, but we'll get there hopefully. Okay, so here are the games and here are the odds. I hope we'll find something that is unusual, to say the least. Okay, so Real Sociedad, Villarreal. Yeah, Real Sociedad are 169 favorites against 524 for Villarreal, which is in line with my expectations, so that's a no. Granada against Valencia. This game was supposed to be played tomorrow, but I'm reading that, and funny thing is that it was a potential trading opportunity because Granada was like 284 and Valencia 276, so the market was basically saying that those teams are even, which I don't think is the case. But that game has been postponed due to safety reasons. So it's, you know, it's we need to leave it. Barcelona against Getafe. Barcelona at home, yeah, 142, which makes sense against 7.25 for Getafe. Alaves against Mallorca. Now this one is interesting, yeah. For me, they are the same teams, but it's not the case for the market, which is considering Alaves more than twice a better team, 2.5 times a better team than Mallorca. Alaves at home. So let's have a closer look at that. Is Alaves at home that great, or is Mallorca so poor away from home? So Alaves at home, 5 wins, 5 losses, and 2 draws. So, you know, 12th place out of 20. Yeah, not something extremely crazy. They defeated Cadiz, but other than that, they lost to Barcelona, lost to Real Madrid. Okay, no, that was kind of expected. But they also lost to Las Palmas, and very recently they drew with Villarreal. Now Mallorca away, if we look at that, yeah, 17th place, and I think that may be the reason. They won only one game out of 12. And I think this is where these odds may come from. Yeah, 195 for Alaves. Usually that would be around 2.3, 2.4, but with Mallorca extremely poor form away, I think this is justified. So that's a no then. All right, moving on. Almeria against Atletico Madrid. So Almeria, where is it, first of all? Yeah, it's the first one. Most difficult to find. Yeah, so what about Almeria? So Almeria, a bottom of the table team, really. No wins in La Liga. 8 draws and 17 defeats in 25. Yeah, but at the very same time, they drew with Bilbao and they drew with Granada, so nothing to be proud of. But they've stopped Athletic Bilbao at home, despite playing 10 against 11. Atletico Madrid away, 8th in the table, so not that impressive. Lost with Sevilla recently. So what would you expect in terms of the odds? It's a good question. And we have 4.9 for Almeria on Betfair, and then 1.8. Sorry, what am I doing here? 1.8. So let's look at that. Atletico Madrid chance of beating Almeria is 55%. Remember, we are talking about 4th in the table, Atletico Madrid, and a team that has not won a game in La Liga this season. It looks like a good opportunity. I mean, the problem is that Griezmann will be off. But other than that, if Morata plays and Depay plays, I think I think they should prevail. The thing is that Almeria had a lot of 0-0 draws. They are very defensive. So if we look at their 5 games, they lost with Alaves 3-0, but then they had a 0-0 against Betis, 0-0 against Mallorca, 0-0 against Girona, and 0-0 against Athletic Bilbao. Now, in the first game, Atletico Madrid won 2-1. That was a home game. Now, I don't know. I don't know about that, really. Is 1.8 worth taking? I will add it to the watch list and see how to treat this one. 1.8 for Atletico Madrid is not bad, but we need to remember that Almeria can stop anyone, and by stopping anyone I mean having a draw. Yeah, but definitely something worth checking further. Okay, moving on. So we have Cadiz against Celta Vigo, and here we have 3.25 for Cadiz and 2.68. It's 6th against 7th, in terms of the categories, obviously, not in terms of the league table spot. So yeah, that's a no. Celta Vigo being the favorites, not huge favorites, but yeah, I think I can accept those odds. Betis against Athletic Bilbao. This one should be interesting, even though this week I have Bilbao number 2 and Betis number 3. And I do agree with what Betfair odds are 3.75 for Betis and 2.28 for Athletic Bilbao. I think Bilbao has a better chance of winning despite playing away. I agree with those odds 100%. Next one, Las Palmas against Osasuna. Both green, both category 4. Las Palmas at home. Well, we have the expected 2.48 for Las Palmas and 3.6 for Osasuna. Pretty acceptable, yeah. Las Palmas has that small advantage as they are playing at home. Yeah, perfectly understandable. Moving on, Real Madrid against Sevilla. Yeah, this one is pretty easy. But having said that, yeah, 1 second, because I've lost the odds. Okay, Girona, let's go with Girona Vallecano. I'm getting a error 500 on odds portal. Girona against Vallecano, however, they are 1.7. So nothing to take really. 5.5 for Vallecano. Yeah, that is fine. Real Madrid against Sevilla. That will not be added to the watch list. I think that the odds will be around 1 second. Will I get the odds or not? Some technical issues. Yeah. Okay, it will be around. Hey guys, so sorry, I had to pause the video because I had some internet connectivity issues. So now I'm resuming the video, and sorry about that. So Real Madrid Sevilla now have the odds. It's 132 for Real Madrid and 10.5 for Sevilla, which is, yeah, as I was expecting, not something that I will disagree with in any way. I think it's pretty much pretty much correct. Okay, so we have Atletico Madrid added to the watch list. From the Premier League, we have West Ham against Brentford. We have this game Arsenal against Newcastle as well, though it's a big question mark around this game. Okay, now moving on to Italy. So we have Serie A games. Let's have a closer look, and maybe we'll maybe we'll find something. Milan Atalanta. This is 237 and 2.94, which makes total sense. AC Milan is, in my world, a better team than Atalanta. 2.37, that's perfectly fine. Rome against Torino. At the moment, both teams equal. In my terms, Rome playing at home, I would expect something around 2.3, 2.2. But Rome is 193, 433 for Torino. We can argue that should be a little bit higher for Rome. Let me quickly check Torino's recent game. So, yeah, Torino, nothing special away from home. Only 3 wins in 12 games. Rome, 8 wins in 13. I'm okay with accepting 193 in this particular case. Yeah. Bologna against Verona is the next one, and it is played today. Obviously, Bologna a very strong favorite, 157 against 678 for Verona, which is quite correct. Cagliari against Napoli, again, something that I wouldn't argue with. 186 for Napoli. Playing away, struggling a lot recently, not something that I'll be getting involved in. And the same if we look at Lecce against Inter, it's 7.42 for Lecce and 1.43 for Inter, which is a no. So is there anything? Salernitana against Monza. This one is interesting because Salernitana 2.97 and Monza 2.50, which, yeah, I wasn't expecting that high of the odds. So basically, if you look at Salernitana as a team that won only 2 games in 25, yeah, so you can, imagine the picture. And Monza won 8 out of 25, and they are undefeated in 4. Salernitana at home, the worst team in the league, 1 win in 13, and Monza away, 11th place, 3 wins, 4 draws, 5 losses. This is something that I will add to the watch list, especially if Salernitana goes 1-0 up. It will be a good chance to lay them. Sassuolo against Empoli, 2 category 6 teams. We are leaving that as it is. The market is just giving Sassuolo more chances to win because they're playing at home. 225, 327, which is the level that which is the level of expectancy, really. Juventus against Frosinone, again, no surprises here. 131, Juventus very strong playing at home. Frosinone 982, which is a no. And then we have Genoa Udinese and Fiorentina against Lazio. Fiorentina against Lazio is again 2.3, so evenly matched teams, but one team playing at home. This is how the market evaluates the probabilities. So it's 2.3 for Fiorentina because they play at home, which is fine. And then Genoa against Udinese is 5th against 6th. Genoa should be the favorites, and they are 2.31 to be precise, and Udinese 3.58. Again, not something to argue with. So only one game really, and in Serie A, this Monza against Salernitana. I think Monza's chances, or let me put it this way, Salernitana chances are smaller than 33%. Yeah, they won just one game. Maybe I can find who they beat at home, really. Can I find it quickly? Maybe not that easy. No, probably not. Salernitana at home. Yeah, I can find it. Surprisingly, they defeated Lazio 2.1. 2-1. Yeah, but that was their only win at home. Recently at home they lost to Juventus 2-1, they lost to Genoa 2-1, they lost to Roma 2-1, and they lost to Empoli 3-1. And Monza away, they lost with Empoli, they drew with Udinese 0-0, but interestingly they played at home against AC Milan and they won 4-2. So impressive victory, that one. But Milan was playing, so they were 10 against 11, but Monza from the 53rd minute, but Monza was leading 2-0 at halftime anyway. So so let's move on to Bundesliga, and maybe we'll have something interesting here. So this is Germany, and let's go through the odds quickly. Bayer Leverkusen against Mainz, so the machine against the team from the relegation zone. What can you expect? You can expect 124, and that's something that you cannot really argue with. That's today. Tomorrow, however, we have Mönchengladbach against Bochum, and yes, Mönchengladbach 201 favorites. Not disagreeing with that one. Yeah, perhaps, maybe should be around 2.2, but no. The same with Union Berlin against Heidenheim, and look how the market agrees with my evaluation as well, because I have both teams, both pairs in the same category, and the market agrees. Again, it's 201 for Union Berlin and 3.82 for Heidenheim. Yeah, so pretty good, pretty good. The market agrees. Now moving on, Stuttgart against Köln, we have yeah, again, number 3 against the relegation zone team. So it's not the Machines Leverkusen 124, it's Stuttgart, but they are still 131, which is fair. 131, 946 against Köln. Then Werder Bremen against Darmstadt, bottom of the table team facing Bremen. You know, we can't expect 1.3, but it's 1.67, 505 for Darmstadt. Perfectly okay. Nothing, it's like nothing here, nothing stands out. This one probably might. Bayern München, and I think the market has lost its patience to Bayern München. So it's number 2 against number 3. I think for the first time I have Bayern as category 2. Bayer Leverkusen is category 1 at the very moment. Bayern struggling really at all, or on all fronts. Yeah, on all the games really they do struggle. If we look at the details, yeah, they lost 3 games in a row. They lost 3-0 to Bayer Leverkusen, then they lost with Lazio 1-0, and very recently they lost with Bochum 3-2. Terrible, yeah. Leipzig, on the other hand, I mean, they lost with Real Madrid 1-0, but they easily defeated Mönchengladbach 2-0. And surprisingly, even, you know, if we look at last 3 Bundesliga games between those teams, and Bayern München I wanted to say it was much stronger, but was playing a lot better than they do today. Leipzig drew 2-2. Then they won 3-0, but that was a cup, Super Cup, yeah. In the league, they won 3-1 and then again drew 1-1. So now Bayern is not that good, and the market is saying 1.69 for Bayern München. It's still more than you would usually expect for Bayern facing a team at home, but 169, I think it's, it's worth a shot. So that's a yes for me. Eintracht Frankfurt and Wolfsburg. Frankfurt better, number 4, number 5. Yes, market agrees. Again, 2.25. 2.2, 2.3. This is what we expect usually when we have this team playing at home, and they are kind of evenly matched. I have Frankfurt better here. That's true, but they are 6th in the table. Wolfsburg is 12th without the win, but Frankfurt also struggling recently. I think we can leave it at that. Now Augsburg against Freiburg. This one is interesting because I don't think Augsburg is better than Freiburg, and this is what the market is trying to tell me. So this is a yes, because Freiburg is definitely not a worse team. Freiburg 8th in the table, Augsburg are 14th, and Freiburg 9th if you look at their away games, and if you look at home games for Augsburg, they are 14th. So that's immediately, unless there are some, again, some starting lineup issues, I will be entering this market with a lay Augsburg. And Dortmund against Hoffenheim, we have 151 for Dortmund, 151 for Dortmund and 544 for Hoffenheim, which kind of makes sense. Yeah, yeah, it kind of compares nicely to the other odds. Okay, so we have 2 for Bundesliga, Bayern München and Augsburg against Freiburg. Last but not least, Liga. We move to France, and in France we will just go through the odds quickly, as we will be involved only if something really stands out. Metz against Lyon today, of course. Lyon favorites, 193, playing away against Metz, which is fine. Lorient against Nantes, this one, yes, 2.5, we would expect 2.2, 2.3, it's 2.57, 2.88 for Nantes. If we look at the place in the table, Lorient is 15th, Nantes is 16th, so you know, it's not something that we would argue with. Strasbourg against Brest, this one is interesting. Strasbourg 3, 2.49 for Brest. Usually I would expect something better, lower. Strasbourg 10th in the table at home. They lost to PSG, they lost to Lorient 1-3. Brest undefeated at home in last 5. Should be an interesting one. Not sure whether to add it to the watch list or not. Let's move on. We'll eventually, I mean, potentially get back to it. Lens against Monaco. This is 2.38 and 2.88. Lens, yeah, they are 6th in the table. Monaco is 5th. Yeah, it's probably fine. Yeah. For me, Monaco is a better team, but in the league table, they are 5th against 6th. 2 points difference. I have them in the higher category because they scored 13 goals more than Lens overall. But it's a home game, 2.38. I don't really want to go against Lens in this case. This one is 5th against 4th and looks correct, 302, and we have 2.42 for Stade de Reims. Nice against Clermont, this one is easy, number 2 against number 6, 147, 751. Olympique Marseille against Montpellier, 171 for Olympique Marseille and Montpellier 473. Maybe this is an exaggeration. Marseille 9th, Montpellier 14th. But Marseille 4th in the league table, really, if you look at the home games, and Montpellier really struggling. 4 losses away in last 5, so yeah. Again, as I was saying, something should really stand out. Paris Saint-Germain and Stade de Rennais, again, easy stuff. You can't expect much more than 146 for Paris Saint-Germain at home, 673 for Stade de Rennais. And then we have this one, which is Toulouse against Lille. We have 408. And this one we can compare. Yeah, so you can see why I have added it. Yeah, Lille is 1.9. So let's do some comparison because we have these two similar. So Strasbourg and Toulouse, can we say that they are the same, the teams from the same category? Toulouse 13th, Strasbourg 10th. 2 points difference, really. Strasbourg 25 points, Toulouse 23 points. Brest and Lille, Brest number 2 in the league, 40 points, Lille 38. Pretty similar. If you look at the goal difference, Brest 31-18, 32-17. Yeah. Goal difference, Strasbourg and Toulouse. Strasbourg 23-32, Toulouse 22-30. Yeah. For me, really, these are very similar teams in strength. And with that, Lille is 1.9. So this means, and out of these two, I think this is closer to reality, in my opinion. It's category 2 against category 5. Like, come on, 1.9 makes sense, but 2.49 does not. So we'll explore that one a little bit further. Okay, with that, thank you very much. I think that's it for the watch list. Stay green on the weekend, and hopefully we'll all make some profits. I'll be again, posting some updates on Twitter. Hit me up there as well with any, information on questions, or share your trades as well. I'll meet you there. With that, have a great weekend. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.